Who does God worship? Can you ask such a question? I think you can. In our religion, you can ask any question. We're not freaks inherently. We explore. We question. Everything has to make sense. The convincing thing about the sense of the Torah is that the greatest geniuses of all time made it their sole occupation to understand the Torah. Why? Because that is God's mind. At the very least, your connection with the Torah is your mindset to the world. Yes, there's other influences, but the good part of you, the part of you that's worthy, that I want to talk to, that part of you, that is based on the Torah, because the Torah has permeated culture. The only culture it hasn't permeated is its flip side: radical terrorist ideologies. I don't want to get into a religious war with anybody, okay? Let other people fight those battles. People are so naturally inclined towards that, so someone's better for that than me. But I believe in all of that. Like, what? Good morning. I just like, there's such evil in the world that I cannot believe anyone could tolerate that. Anyways, I guess that's the way it's always been. But what's on my mind today? I think I came up with the most romantic poem I've ever written. But I don't know, maybe it's going to sound cliche to you. If wisdom is known, like, pretty much, everything's going to sound cliche. It's our spin on that. How do we do it a bit different? The smaxy, okay? Because I don't want Jews to think that they follow any cultural norms. Good morning. I don't want people to think that. We don't do things for that reason. We take the cultural norms that we do have already and find how we could direct ourselves to Torah through that, because that is our language, that is our mindset. Okay. Parking spot. The smile of your beloved. Right? A simple idea, okay? It's very childlike, okay? Fine. Here's even more. First step into a waterfall. Sapphire eyes. Okay, that's also a bit cliche, right? But first step, you're thinking about a child's first step. And where is that step? We're always the child when we're about to step into a waterfall. It's hot outside, and you're going to feel cold water splash on you. And that first splash is the sapphire eyes, the moment you realize that you are one with everything you want. I call that matronissa. That if God wants to be embodied in this world, what would he deprive himself? He would not deprive himself of anything. Okay, maybe it's a potential for that. That's also something. The very potential to have that closeness with Hashem, specifically here in this world, that's also a gift. It's just one that you have to dig for a bit. So I call that your ultimate dream. I call that matronissa, the Shechina. Okay, I'm going to have to read for maybe a fourth or fifth time here this teaching that I found from the Alter Rebbe on listening to the Shechina. I don't think I could resist saying it again. I don't have time to prepare this morning. I don't have much time this morning. I've got a very different schedule, so I'm here early, right? So I thought I'd just learn this thing that's just driving me crazy. It's just driving me, everything about me. It's this idea that you're supposed to listen to the Shekhinah. Because I never really understood that before. I came across this like a few months ago. Two months ago, maybe. And that just revolutionized all my thinking. It's a process of listening and beholding. You don't understand that. Everything you're taught is probably the opposite if you think about it. It's not sitting back and beholding the ultimate goal that you have attained. Always already there. That's the title of a book I wrote. So to listen, to behold, to make the whole focus shutting up and listening. That is the ultimate intimacy. Think about that. I mean, I'm just thinking about it now for the first time. And whenever my mind gets blown like that, I literally just go beyond. That's actually a good thing, because that means that something deeper is going to come. I know that, but it's scary still. You're holding on to one step. You don't want to take the next step. The next step is the waterfall. The sapphire eyes, when you realize that you're looking into the eyes of Matronissa. Your goal is attained. You have Matronissa, okay? Whatever you call it. You have, I don't know, a lot of croissants. I don't know. What are people into? Whatever they're into. It doesn't matter. That's your croissant. My grandfather, alav shalom, he had these. I've told the story before, but it's just a cute image, and I like to think of him, especially as my connection with him was oriented around Judaism, because it was a fading thing at the time. He came over when he was a boy. Came over to a foreign land. He didn't have parents here. So he grew up very poor. Like, they had to give him away. So poor. I don't really think about that so much. I don't know. I'm just overcome for whatever reason. Okay, that's got to happen once in a while. If you're a passionate person, you got to expect that once in a while to happen. So what? Thinking about my grandfather and how he used to have, when he made a family gathering dinner, okay, like a banquet or a Shabbos dinner or something, Pesach usually. Well, not Pesach in this case because you see the story, but I don't know, Rosh Hashanah. He might have had the family over. And he'd have these round bagels, very fancy bagel challahs. And we didn't have those in my house. So I asked my father, why does Grandpa have these fancy challahs? Whoever saw challahs like that? And he told me this story about him growing up and being given away. And they wanted to give cookies to the kids. He was at his aunt's house. And they wanted to eat. The aunt wasn't wealthy or anything. Right? She was also poor, but she had something. So she was giving out to her children cookies or cake or something. And this is the story. I don't know. It sounds like a myth to me. So they say, well, can we give Mordechai? Well, my grandfather, when he was a kid, like, I don't know, 6 years old, he used to work in the lime industry, the lime mines. I don't know. That sounds also mythological. But I don't know. They had different existences then. So should we give Mordechai a piece of cake also? No, don't give him cake. He'll never have it, so he shouldn't accustom himself to good things. My father told me this story, and I'm like, wow. So when I say the pasuk Neisen Lechem L'Ra'evim, he gives bread, and think about what bread means. Look that up. To the hungry. People are so moderate, so subdued. Who does Hashem give bread to? Who has the Matronissa? Who has everything that they desire? It reminds me on this, I just want to say another image. On Tisha B'Av once I saw the movie The Pianist. Have you seen that movie? Thank you. Have you seen that movie, The Pianist? No, was it that? Yeah, I think it was. Yes. There's a scene in there when they're in the, what's it called? They're in Auschwitz, okay, in the ghetto. And there's an old man who's running through the street, bumps into it. There's this woman carrying a pot down the street. And he bumps into her, knocks her over. The pot spills. He wants the pot, right? But she got knocked over and it fell. So the pot of food that he do, like, I don't know, oatmeal or something, I don't know what they had. Rice, I don't know. It fell over and it was on the street. So he falls on his face and laps at the bread, at the porridge or whatever it was on the street. And that image just, that's what I think about. Because we have to think about things that inspire us during davening, or you're just saying words. It's a waste of time. Just look at the page and turn it. It's the same thing. Okay, there's some benefit in using your lips. It just makes me angry that people don't give this more attention, because it's the whole foundation of your day. It's your whole foundation of your mind. You have to have this every day, or you are not human. I think someone posted. I saw that somewhere. You don't have a time devoted. That's why the Rebbe fought for a moment of silence in schools. Let people reflect for a moment even. It only takes a moment to do tshuva. That was the moment was precious to the Rebbe and is precious to the Rebbe. That's the moment that I say should always be the first step into a waterfall. And that, if you succeed in that, if you just accept whatever temperature that water is going to be, like, and whatever that means, however it resonates in your life. For some, it has to be more extreme, because that's nothing to them. But I know a lot of people have very weak constitutions. I know that, because I had or have a weak constitution, and when I go into a shower that might be cold, it's something. Okay, so that's an image that we have. But it's a first step. It's like a very childlike thing to be afraid to jump into a lake and, not know the temperature. Okay, so I think I got that image. So I wanted to talk about, Nason lachem l'ra'evim. He gives the bread. So the bread is given to the hungry. He wants that hunger brought out in us. Okay, so we use images, like a grandfather that's now food has become like the symbol of appreciation, because he didn't care. He loved art. Okay. But he didn't live like lavishly at all. My grandmother used to keep coupons, okay? And she was a wealthy woman. And she used coupons, saved 20 cents here and there. Okay, that's the way they lived. But bread was still the symbol of that. Nason lechem l'ra'evim. God gives bread to the hungry. He wants to see your hunger. He wants to see that you're alive. Then you have a conversation with him. And when you win that conversation, when you seduce God, because there is a romance, okay, whether you like it or not. Look at Rambam. The ultimate service of God is the service of love. That's the mature approach to religion. That's what it means when it says that women and children don't talk to them about that. It's not for them. That's what it means. It's a maturity. Okay, yes, there's a maturity in women. It's not talking about those women. Doesn't mean that aspect of being a woman. Okay, there's aspects of everything. We don't criticize the Torah. It doesn't make sense. We try and understand the Torah. You put it in a context that makes sense to you. That is Torah. That's what God wants. He wants even our hunger, though, which is what I'm talking about here. So scrolls over manuscripts, the eyes of the congregation. It's an interesting phrase, the eyes of the congregation. Okay, I don't want to talk about too much right now because it's a bit off topic, but it does segue into prophecy nicely if I have time, which I don't know if I do. Anyone have anything to say? Being passionate is a beautiful quality. Only few people have it. I believe it shows you care. I believe that care is what it's all about. Yes, Erica, Mama, Elka, Sarah. Yes. Good morning, Joel. Awesome to see you. I just spoke about Grandpa. It's your grandpa also. Awesome. That's worthy to listen to, Joel. Great to see you here. So I don't know if I should go on right now. If people say, yeah, maybe I would. Who does God worship? Okay, I got to get back to at least the topic heading. Maybe I won't get to go through those things that I wanted to share with you, but at least finish that topic. I've spoken about this many times. Maybe you know it already. Who does God worship? Who does God fear? I found a source that says, just like God does the mitzvahs, we do the mitzvahs, God does the mitzvahs. In fact, that's why we do the mitzvahs, to emulate God. We are doing what God does to show we care. It's all about care. That's what passion is. You cannot care a lot about something unless you have a lot of passion, right? So, okay, we've talked about that in Dark Phoenix's speech. We're not going to go back there again. So who do we worship? What does God worship? So what does he fear? He fears that we will not be devoted to him. That's his fear. We have to assuage God's fear. Why would God be fearful of that? Unless he knew that we struggle. And why do we struggle? Neira alila al bnei adam. Look that up. I spoke about that at length. That's the whole speech I gave yesterday about the chief of the harlots. Neira alila al bnei adam. He wanted that in the world. He wanted that struggle. Okay, so God's fear is something that he wanted. He wanted to be fearful of our success because he cares. Exactly, that's the point. That's the point. Because he cares. So that's his fear. Why would God, who's all-powerful, be fearful? Because he gave us a gift of free choice. And our free choice is, do we turn to the sapphire eyes of Matronissa? Is our beauty in the world in line? Is it Yerushalayim shel Mailo, Mekuvin Keneged Yerushalayim shel Mato? The supernal Jerusalem is configured right in line with the Jerusalem here in this world. There has to be that, when you shoot at a rifle, a sniper rifle, right? There's crosshairs and different, it goes, you have to have an expanse to judge the accuracy. It has to go over a long shaft to shoot straight. So it has to always be in line. When you are standing in prayer, who is before you? God. I brought a source for that regarding why the heart's on the left side. That is awesome. You're standing before God. We read those words. I read them in the context of the Shulchan Aruch. In terms of law, Jewish law, did nothing for me. Shivisi Hashem kenegdi samid. We say that all the time, right? Some people have it written all over everywhere, right? I place Hashem before me constantly. But if you actually think about it, what does it mean? Okay, that's the Likutei Torah that I'm just dying to get into. I don't know if I have time. I have like 6 minutes left, and I just want to finish this thought. It's the idea of listening to the Shekhinah. Okay, so maybe that's actually the answer. Therefore, it could help me tie this in. Do you say I worship my children? Do you say that, like, and you mean by it, I love them so much, I care about them so much? Do you use that term, or do you feel that that's idolatrous and heretical to even say that? Who do you worship? You worship God. It's interesting to think whether that paradigm exists in love in this world, and why would it not? And maybe that's the whole idea of that the Kruvim are in one specific place. The cherubs and the Holy Ark were in a very specific zone that has, we've spoken about this whole idea of intimacy and privacy, and that's why it's in a very special private place, things, but there is that manifestation in this world. It's a golden thing, and it's in a special private place. There's boundaries. It's the fence of roses that I keep speaking about. Shavuos time particularly. So if it's all about listening to the Shekhinah, if God fears us, his fear is associated with our performance, as it were, do we care? Are we going to say, yes, thank you, God, for giving me everything? You are everything. That's love. That is love. You don't care about yourself at that point. That is love. Maybe that's only, I've suggested, maybe it's possible that only exists with God. I've said in the context of Rambam, saying that the whole paradigm for love is like a Hollywood romance. Okay, look it up there. And maybe that is only reserved, because he does say it's in a sugar batomid. He's steeped in it constantly, and the word sugar and sugar sound nice together. Steeped in it constantly, like a guy that's smitten with seemingly pathetic romantic love. seemingly. How romantic are you? And how does that manifest in this world? I mean, a lot of the teachings, the Musar teachings, are like way... And even what we learned in the laws of prophecy, it says you have to be mufshat from this world. If you want prophecy, you're not in this world. So the worlds have to be aligned. Your attention is sometimes directed to the lower aspects of the world, which is physicality and everything else. If you don't like it, that's the way God made the world. But sometimes it's directed there. You may have a tendency that's to be more aloof, especially if you're a man. If you're going to be a passionate person and you're not going to be aloof, it's a dangerous thing. Shlomo Melech proved that. Hevel havolim akol havel. Everything's vanity. And he would know. Look at Koheles. Ecclesiastes, if you're more Latin inclined. Or that sounds actually Greek. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to go inside to that teaching. I think you'll just trust me that it's there. Okay, I'm going to just call it a day right now. Call it a share or a talk. Good morning. Yeah, I got to just cool down a little bit because I was taking off there with this whole sapphire eyes things. I think it's just incredible to think. So who does God worship? Did I finish that yet? I said who God fears. Who does God worship? If we worship God, so I spoke at length about the tefillin, that God's, so if there's a relationship between tefillin and tefillah, which it's like, duh, why do we put on tefillin specifically when we're praying? Okay, it's a whole topic. You bind yourself to God. What does that represent? Even the ring, according to the Zohar, it's a wedding ring. I said, why the middle finger? I spoke about that. I haven't really come up with a perfect answer about the middle finger, why we put it on that one specifically. Other people have different customs. But I want to look that up because each finger represents a different attribute. No, I'm not giving anyone the finger, but the finger is a concept we have to understand according to Torah, not just stupidity. But sometimes you're invited into the physical domain. So in that domain, who does God worship? Okay, back to this question. Because there is the golden cherubs. They exist. There is a physical manifestation of the love of God to the Jewish people. Does that not exist in the physical world? It does, in a very exclusive, holy, sacred domain. The most intimate domain. Hedre, what do we call it? Hedre Chadarim, or the Lifnai V'Lifnim, the inner chamber. That's the Holy of Holies. Do you worship in that context? I just think that's an awesome question. I don't think I have an answer yet. Does the Pnei Shechina embody anything in the physical world? It does in the Kruvim, basically, right? They're looking at each other and smiling. A smile is infectious. It resonates. It's luminous. It illuminates. We have to see that when we're parking our car or when we get a good spot. Those little things, because we care about that. And why not say that's God just saying, I care? That's the sapphire eyes. When you turn and say, I'm staring into the eyes of an angel before me. That's the Shekhinah. That's the Shekhinah. That, are you allowed to worship the Shekhinah? So I translated the question into that. If that's what Knesset Yisrael is, and that's the Shekhinah, can the Shekhinah be embodied in a human being? Do you not see someone? Is there no one that you love in this world? A wholesome love. Is that embodied in the world to you? Or is that, do you believe that if there's a concept of soulmate, is that something that can only be spiritual? Maybe the person's not going to merit to ever meet that person. Maybe the person's not even alive at the time. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this topic, but I think it's fascinating. Which someone would maybe share something about that. So I say, are you allowed to worship the Shekhinah? I would say yes. The Shekhinah is one with God. It's just the perspective. It's an aspect of God. Every time you're speaking about an aspect, no, it's not God himself, but it's the way we connect to God. Do you worship the Shekhinah? I say yes. Someone, if I'm wrong about that, I will take it back 100%, and I'll come up with a new drush, because the Torah rules. And we have to reinterpret things as we learn Torah. Okay, I'm going to tell you one more example. I have no time. But I just have to share this with you. It's a bit annoying topic because it's dealing with thing that bothers me. Like, if you have so many people flying around the world to beg, to me, the focus should be on examining our cultural models and seeing what makes that part of my upbringing that I should have to depend on begging. I don't think that that's healthy. I think that's the opposite. And so I've had this nature of being a bit resentful to the kollel lifestyle that people just sit and learn and they're dependent on the money of other people. So people, the answer to this actually is that you give if you want. Don't feel compelled. If you want to be a part of that schus. So the question is it a schus? So you question the integrity. Are there learning problems? I've never been to these kollels in Israel that people just live and learn. I've never been to, so I don't know. I don't really have a real opinion. It's just a stupidity, really. But since I see all these people that just, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but it just doesn't seem to me to be. But anyway, so recently I saw this video of the Rebbe, and here this idea of wanting to give resonates here because it's a father to a son, and the son learns in yeshiva. He has 5 children, so he must have been there for at least, I don't know, 7 years, 6 years, 7 years. 7 years sitting in yeshiva. Our custom, the Rebbe's custom, he encourages his chassidim to learn. I think it's 2 years, 1 year, I can't remember right now. A limited amount of time. But here this Rosh Yeshiva, I think it was, said his son's learning. He wants his son to start a career. The Rebbe says, what do you mean a career? Why take him away from Torah? So the guy corrects the Rebbe. It's amazing to see who would correct the Rebbe. No, Rebbe, you misunderstood. I don't know if you say those words, you misunderstood. But it looked like that. I meant that he's going into a career of Torah. So the Rebbe says, does that mean he's going to be paid for learning Torah? And he says, yes. So the Rebbe says, that's going to take him away from the Torah. Once there's an external factor, it's not the purity of the Torah. So it doesn't matter. It's not outside the realm of Torah. Like you're going to be a plumber. I don't know. I want to start a career as a plumber from being a Torah scholar. In a prestigious family, so he has to impress, right? So the Rebbe said, the importance is the integrity of his Torah learning. That should be lishma. It should be pure. You should really want to know God, because that is God's will and wisdom, right? So the Rebbe says, because this guy was supporting his son, so he says, you have it. I don't remember if he says yes. Okay, I don't remember that. I posted the video. It's fascinating. Watch it. Okay, have a great day, everyone. I'm sorry I can't go further today. But we're together in this, right? Let these ideas resonate through the day.